Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are unpacking the incredibly unique, historically rich framework of South African constitutional law. If you've ever wondered how a modern state manages to balance raw political power with the rights of everyday people, well, you are in exactly the right place.
To get us started, I want you to consider this fundamental question. Who really runs a democracy? Is it the voters who elect the government? Or is it the courts who actually have the power to strike down that government's laws? This high-stakes balancing act is the core tension we're going to see playing out across every level of the state today.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. 1. The personal is political. 2. The constitutional blueprint. 3. 5 faces of democracy. 4. The electoral machine. 5. The counter-majoritarian dilemma. And 6. The rule of law. Section 1. The personal is political.
You see, South Africa's constitution isn't just some dry, imported legal document. No, it is a homegrown, transformative framework deeply rooted in indigenous culture. And right at the heart of this is the concept of Ubuntu, which essentially means that everybody counts in society. Under this framework, following the rule of law isn't just about, avoiding a fine or punishment. It's a truly communal process. It's about respecting each other's humanity and sharing scarce resources. Because when everyone matters, everyone's voice absolutely must be heard.
Section 2. The constitutional blueprint.
And this brilliantly illustrates the actual mechanics of the state. Now, I know, this multi-level map might look incredibly complex at first glance, but it's really just showing the national, provincial, and local spheres all operating at the exact same time. It's like a giant puzzle where they are all interconnected, yet strictly bound by the overriding principles of constitutionalism and the rule of law. They act as the ultimate living referee at the very top.
To make that complex structure a bit easier to digest, let's break it down into its 3 main pillars. We call these the organs of state. First, the legislature. They pass and amend the laws. Second, the executive. They're the ones implementing those laws on the ground. And third, the judiciary. They step in to resolve disputes about how the Constitution is being applied. This strict separation of powers is absolutely crucial. It basically prevents any one group from gaining absolute control of the whole shebang.
Section 3. The 5 faces of democracy.
So democracy here isn't just one singular idea. It's actually a combination of several different operating systems running simultaneously. While direct democracy, like a big national referendum, is pretty rare, the others are constantly at work. Participatory democracy mandates that the public is heard before laws are passed. Constitutional democracy keeps the laws supreme over any passing political whims. And multi-party and representative democracy, well, they ensure regular elections are held to choose the leaders who act on your behalf.
Section 4. The electoral machine.
So how do those leaders actually get chosen to run the country? Well, South Africa uses what's called a closed-list proportional representation system. Notice that voters choose political parties during an election. They don't actually vote for individual candidates. Then, the political parties themselves choose their specific candidates beforehand. They rank them on a closed list to fill the 400 seats in the National Assembly, and that's based strictly on the proportion of votes they win. Simply put, the voter gives the broad mandate, and the party organizes the specific people.
Section 5. The counter-majoritarian dilemma. Now, what happens when the laws passed by those elected representatives are challenged? This right here is the dramatic climax of our explainer. So the crucial point is this stark numerical contrast. On one side, you have 400 elected MPs, backed by literally millions of voters. On the other side, just 11 unelected constitutional court judges, or sometimes just a single high court judge. It sounds almost crazy, right? The dilemma asks, how on earth is it truly democratic for a handful of unelected judges to completely overrule the vast elected majority? To understand this, let's look at a few high-profile moments where executive power was tested in court. We've got the Nkandla matter regarding public funds, the highly debated nuclear deal, and those sudden midnight cabinet reshuffles. Now, these moments created massive friction. But here's the thing. These squabbles aren't actually a sign of institutional failure, not at all. They are the healthy life and breath of democracy, ensuring that the state's immense resources and powers are kept in check according to the law.
And the judiciary itself is acutely aware of its own boundaries. In the landmark Mazibako case, the ruling made this absolutely clear. I'll read it for you. Courts do not run the country, nor were they intended to govern the country. Courts exist to police the constitutional boundaries and must then act without fear or favor. See, courts don't rewrite the laws. They don't dictate policy. They are simply the independent referees blowing the whistle the second someone steps out of bounds.
Section 6. The Rule of Law. The underlying principle that makes this entire balancing act possible is the rule of law. Let's jump back and see how this builds from the older 1885 model by Albert Dicey. He established a famous approach. The law is supreme, power cannot be exercised arbitrarily, and everyone is equal before the courts. Sounds great, right? However, history proved a rather dark point. Strict formal rules can sometimes be used to legitimize highly oppressive and unjust systems, just so long as the correct procedures are followed on paper.
So, to modernize this concept for a truly decent society, Anthony Matthews reformulated the rule of law in 1964. He basically argued that the idea of the state wielding arbitrary power over an individual is just unthinkable. But more importantly, he highlighted that its genuine, effective judicial remedies, the actual enforcement of the law by courts to protect basic rights that truly shield individuals from state power. It's way more than just having nice-sounding constitutional declarations written on a piece of paper.
Which brings us right back to you. If the constant tension between elected leaders and unelected judges is the actual life and breath of a healthy democracy, how will your voice shape its future? You are a vital, active part of this living constitutional ecosystem. Keep questioning, keep participating, and hold your systems accountable. Thanks for joining us for this explainer today, and we will catch you next time.